A lot of business owners just see the Bible as a tool they use only when they go to church, when they go to pray, or some other, religious related activity. But the truth is that the Bible contains so much wisdom inside, and as a business owner, there are a few things you could learn inside that will position you as um, an authority, position you in a greater way to receive the benefits of your business. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you three business tips from the Bible that will actually help you. And this is especially good for those who are internet marketers who are just starting up, right? I'm going to relate them to internet marketing and those who are just starting up in the online space. So follow me. So welcome back. Our first story is from the book of Genesis chapter 11 verse 4, where we learn about the children of Noah when after the flood, when they were trying to find a place to settle down. And I'm just going to read a little bit of it because most of the stories are really long and I don't want this video to get really long or for you to lose the essence of what it is I'm talking about. So in Genesis chapter 11 verse 1, the whole earth was of one language and of one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have been managed to do. And so what happened was that after all this, God decided to come up with a plan. Let us just confuse their language. And when God confused their language, the whole building stopped, everything stopped. And today we have all the different languages. Everybody was confused, and the tower was left unbuilt. But I have a very two important lessons here. The first is the power of thought, and as a business owner, this is one of the strongest things you can do. You must be able to think for yourself. You must be able to come up with ideas. All right, and this leads me to the topic of my first point: as within, so it becomes without. As within, so it becomes without. What that simply means is that every single thing that has been created has been thought of in the mind. So if you want to create something, you must first think of it in your mind. You must be able to focus your mind on seeing that thing in your mind before you can begin to create it. So what happened here with the children of Noah was that they first saw the idea of a city in their minds and they came together to say, hey, let us do this. And so it's very important to note that before they built that city, before they started building the city and the tower, there was just plain ground. So they looked at it and said, we want to build a city, we want to build a tower, but we cannot just start building. We need brick and mortar. And so they built brick and mortar. Right? Brick and mortar was their stone and cement or whatever they use these days. Right? So that was what they built. But it shows the power of thought and it shows the power of action. So they thought about this city and they now say, okay, how can we actually develop this city? How can we build this tower? And then they said, first we need to create blocks. Put one block upon the other, put one block upon the other, and you keep going high like that. So as a business owner, you must be able to come up with creative ideas. There is no person who is rich today who doesn't have ideas. There was a book written by the co-founder of Microsoft, Paul, I think it's Paul Allen, Idea Man. And he was basically the brains behind the early startup in Microsoft, because he was the one coming up with the ideas. What should they do? And Bill Gates was more of the executioner. So what I'm trying to say is you must be able to come up with a ton of ideas. You must be able to think about what it is you want to achieve before you can even start. Now, the second lesson from this is that you must remove every iota of self-doubt. Self-doubt is going to ruin you. And there's a very important part here that I'm going to read again. And that is from verse 5, 11 verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, this is verse 6, Behold, the people is one. And they all have one language, which means one speech. They were all united. So you cannot be having doubt. Sorry, if you have a team, your team cannot be having doubt, because if your team is having doubt, well, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to progress. So self-doubt is not supposed to be in your lineage. You have to have one language. You have to have one speech. You have to have an agreement for you to be able to make something. And that's how it works. So if you're starting up a partnership with somebody, you're trying to go together, and then you have another person having a conflicting dream, a conflicting desire, well, it's never going to work. And this is the reason why so many businesses fail, because either the owner has self-doubts, I can achieve this, I don't know if this is going to work, I don't think this is going to work, or his team has self-doubt, they have doubts, they have different goals. And so you're going to have your business end up crashing. So very, very important lesson here. Number one is that you must be able to conjure up ideas. You must be able to think. As it starts within, so it becomes without. So every single thing that was first built by man was first built by thoughts, right? So you must build it in your thoughts first, and then it becomes a reality. And then you must take action. Now, the third thing is that you must not have self-doubt. Self-doubt is a dream killer. It will just destroy your dreams. So you can't afford to have self-doubt. Our second lesson is from the story of David and Goliath. And this is a very, very common story, but there are some things that are never taught to you in church, or you don't hear in the mainstream discussion whenever it comes to this story. And so I'm going to be sharing with you business lessons I have personally learned from this story, and why you should take them very, very seriously. So I'm not going to read this whole story because it's really long. First Samuel chapter 17 from verse 4 to 58. It's way long. So I'm just going to give you the breakdown of the story. And so back then, the children of Israel and the Philistines were having a war. And back then, before a war usually started, the champions from each group will come out and challenge each other. Will come and challenge the other side and present their terms. And so it happened that this battle had been going on for long. They had always been fighting. The children of Israel, Philistines, had always been fighting themselves over the land. And what happened was that this time the Philistines were the ones who had a champion, and they came, and his name was Goliath, and he came out. He was 6 foot tall, and all that. There were a lot of descriptions. I may not be 100% correct because I'm not quoting it directly. So he came out and he challenged the children of Israel, telling them that anybody that can defeat him, the battle will be over and they would have won and all that. And if he defeats them, they will take their land and so many things. And he kept cursing their gods and all that. And all the children of Israel were scared. These were men of battle. They were men who have been fighting, some of them fighting from their youth, but none of them, even King Saul, none of them could come out to say, hey, I want to challenge this man. And so King Saul kept, upping the ante, kept bringing up the rewards. Okay, I'll give this, I'll give my first daughter, I'll give that, I'll give this, I'll give that. And none of them could. And then there was this young guy, who was in the forest. He was the last born, and his name was David. And he was tending to the flock, and his other brothers had all gone to war. Back then, one characteristic of a man is that you must be at war. Almost everybody liked to be at war. Back then, there was no something as I'm joining the army. Almost everybody, as a man, definitely went to battle, right? So David was simply tending the flock, and then his father sent for him and said, hey, come and carry this food and all this stuff and give to your brothers. And so what happened was David took it there, and then fortunately for him, he came at the time when Goliath came out again. And the sweet thing is that Goliath had been coming out for 40 days. 40 days, every single day, Goliath would come out and say, hey, children of Israel, I'm here again. Nobody can come out and kill me. And all that, 40 days. So it showed a really, for me, it looks like a big reluctance to have started the war, because nobody wanted to fight each other, it seemed. And they kept depending on somebody among the children of Israel to come out and say, okay, let's fight these giants, right? Because I don't know why the two armies would have sat down for 40 days and not attacked each other. So, but anyways, that was what happened. For 40 days, 40 nights, Goliath had been challenging them. And so David came in among, maybe on the 41st day, I don't know, it was not stated there. And he had Goliath saying this thing after delivering to his brothers. And so he said, what's the first question he asked, and this is where the business lesson comes in. He asked, what will be done to the person who kills the giant? So the business lesson here is that he identified a problem, and he decided to look at what is the reward for solving this problem. He identified a problem and decided to ask what is the reward for solving this problem. So as a business person, you must be able to identify problems that people have. You must be able to identify problems, but not just identify them. You must be able to know the reward behind it. There is no gain for you to solve everybody's problem when there's no reward behind it. You need the rewards. You need to get paid. So there is no gain for you to solve people's problems when you are not, you are not getting any reward. And so that brings me to my point number 2. You must be prepared, but you must not forget to collect your reward. So I'm going to just go further back and break it. Now, the first thing, like I said, is that David asked for what was the reward, right? He wanted to know what was the reward to that problem. Now, the second thing is, David did not just stand up and go out to kill Goliath. A lot of people think that David was unprepared. David was not unprepared. David had extensive training. He had learned how to kill a bear. He had learned how to kill, I think, a lion. David had serious training. David was a master in using the slingshot. Now, I want you to understand that the slingshot was a very, very powerful weapon of war back in those days. It's like learning how to use a gun. David was skilled in the art of learning how to use that slingshot. He didn't just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to challenge the lion. No. So that brings me to second mini point under this point. You must be prepared. You must burn the midnight oil. You must take those skills. If you're an internet marketer, you're just starting up. You're a young person just starting up. You're trying to do a business. You're trying to learn something. Have skills. You must have skills. There's a long battle ahead. You don't just wake up and say, hey, I want to make money online. No, I want to do this. I want to do that. You must have skills. All right, these skills are what you're going to apply. They're going to save you. You're going to use them to conquer your battles. All right, so you must have skills. All right, so you cannot just wake up and say, I'm going to fight. David did not do that. He had skills. He trusted in his skills. He had killed a lion. He had killed a bear. And when he went to King Saul and said, hey, I want to kill this guy for you guys, after learning the rewards, he went to King Saul and said, I'm going to kill this guy. And King Saul was now arming him with, armor, knife, and all that. And David could not use those things. He was not skilled in those things. But what he knew how to use was to use a slingshot, and he decided to go with only what he was skilled at. And in one single shot, he took down the giant. All right, it's in movies. They make it look like 3 shots, but it was one single shot because he was that skilled. If you want to try, you can pick up a sling. You will never hit the bull's eye. It takes you thousands of hours of practice to hit the bull's eye. But he hit Goliath right in the forehead, and that was where he aimed for. It was not a mistake. He was that skilled. So you need to be skilled. You need to be prepared. You must burn the midnight oil. All right, that's point number 2 under this particular point. Point number 3 under this same point is that you must be able to collect your rewards. This is very important. Don't do stuff. You must not do stuff for free all the time. Free stuff is good. Don't doubt me. Don't say you should not do free stuff at all. But you should be able to collect your reward. You should know when there's a reward and go to collect it. All right. So ensure you know the rewards and protect it. You don't just wake up and tell everybody your secrets. Protect it. David did not tell anybody how he was going to kill Goliath. Very, very important. He simply said, your servant killed the lion and the bear. What is this uncircumcised Philistine? And David went ahead and killed. He didn't say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick up a sling. I'm going to put stones. I'm going to take stones in fine stones in my bag. Another very important thing to note here is that David selected the right stones, which shows practice. Any other person would have selected stone, maybe made of sand or something, and tried to use it, and it would just have no effect. All right. So, and maybe Goliath would have like, oh, so this is how this guy wants to kill me, and he will look for armor and protect himself. Because for David to have used that sling, he did it from afar. He was not so close, arm's length, where he was going to use a knife. He did it from a little bit of distance. So if Goliath had, if he had missed on the first time, Goliath would probably have protected himself. What am I trying to say here is that do not tell people your secrets. This is what you're going to do. Keep it to yourself. This is how you're going to achieve your dreams. Keep it to yourself until your dreams are ready. When David killed Goliath, he had to collect his reward. And so what he did was to cut off the head of Goliath and carry it. He carried it by himself. He didn't give another person. He didn't leave it there. He carried Goliath's sword and he carried the head, and he went to meet King Saul and said, "This is it." And so he was able to claim his reward because he was holding it there. He didn't allow any other person to cheat him out of his reward. So a lot of us get cheated out simply because we give another person our ideas, we tell them the execution, we tell them everything, and they go ahead and do it, and we're wondering, oh, why did I tell them? So you must learn to bridle your tongue. You must learn to keep quiet and don't just share everything to everybody. All right, so you must learn to do that. You must learn to claim your rewards. There are times to give things out for free. There are some times not to give things out for free. So I'm going to just reiterate the points on that before I move to my next point. The first is that you must ask for the reward. Ask for what is the reward before you embark. The second is that you must be prepared. Burn the midnight oil, get skills, learn whatever you need to learn on this journey that you're about to make in your business. Don't go into business unprepared. And the third is that you must learn how to take your reward. Carry your reward. Claim your reward when it's time. Not every time you give out stuff for free. Sometimes you need to claim your reward. Third point is from the story of Jacob and Esau. And this is a very, very cute story because we always talk about this. You always talk about this in church, but sometimes they don't look at it from the business angle of it. So our story is coming from the book of Genesis chapter 25, verse 29 to 34. Again, I'm not going to read. So the idea here is that Isaac had two children, Jacob and Esau. Esau was the firstborn. Isaac really loved Esau, but Rebecca, which was Isaac's wife, Rebecca loved Jacob, and she wanted the best for Jacob, and parental love and all that. So Isaac was really old, and it was time to bless his sons. But before that, I want you to know that Jacob was somebody who liked to stay in the house. He didn't really like going out. He was always with his mother, tending sheep and all that. While Esau was the kind of person who always went around hunting. One day, Jacob was cooking, and Esau came back with his catch and was so super hungry, and he wanted to eat something, and Jacob was cooking right where Esau was going to pass, or where Esau could easily take the aroma of the food. And Esau saw him and was like, hey bro, please, I'm almost dying right here, can you give me some food? And the first thing that came out of Jacob's mouth was, sell me your birthright. And Isaac looked at, and Esau looked at it and was like, my birthright. What the hell is my birthright even going to do for me? Please take it, give me food. And Esau ate his food, and Jacob said, all right, I've gotten your birthright. And a few years later, much years later, when Isaac was super old and he was about to die, so he wanted to eat very good food, a particular type of food that Esau knew how to prepare, and it was made of bushmeat and all that. And he asked Esau, go and catch so bushmeat and prepare so food for me, and when I eat it, I will bless you, and then I can die. So, but something happened. Rebecca heard when he was saying this, and she immediately went to go and tell her favorite son, Jacob, hey, go and do this, slaughter one of the sheep and prepare this food and give your father. And he covered Jacob in wolves, a kind of sheep clothing that made him had a lot of hair, because Esau was a very hairy person, just to make him look like Esau. And so she covered him there, and Isaac ate the food, and he ended up blessing Jacob, thinking he had blessed Esau. And that was that. So that's basically the summary of the story. But I want to look at the business lesson from it here. The first lesson is that you must have a product that is addictive. You must have an addictive product. So what do I mean by that? Would it surprise you to note that Esau himself could cook really good food, because the father sent him in the later part to actually go and prepare that food. Esau could cook, but at that point, because he was super hungry, that product that Jacob was producing was very addictive. And the sweet, interesting part was the positioning. Jacob positioned his product in a place where Esau was going to see, was going to smell it, was going to not miss it. He also positioned it as a solution to Jacob's present problem. So you must have products that are addictive, that people want, that is a present solution to their problem. All right, your product must be able to solve their problem. The second point here, and I'm just going to look at the story very critically. Imagine you and your brother are talking and you say, hey, please, I want food. And the first thing that comes out of your brother's mouth is, I want your birthright. That's not normal. Nobody will just wake up and say, I want your birthright. It shows that Jacob had been preparing and thinking about this for a very long time. He had been preparing and thinking about it. He didn't just wake up today and say, okay, this guy wants my food, or what can I give him? No, he had been thinking about it. That was why that was the first and only words that came out from his mouth. So he had been preparing for this. He knew what to do to catch Esau. He probably knew that porridge that he was preparing was Esau's best food. He probably knew that. And so that was why it was very easy for him to say, oh, okay, let me position this food here. So when this guy is coming back from his hunt where he's very tired, he won't even bother and think about preparing his own food. He will want to eat this one. And I knew he was going to ask me, I'm not going to just give him this food for free. These are two brothers, for goodness sake. Why should he have had to pay something for the food? So it shows a lot of cunning on the part of Jacob, but it also shows a business lesson that you should have your addictive product. All right, so you must have an addictive product, one that ensures that your customer wants it, right? Okay, you must have something your customer wants. Now, the second business lesson here is on the part of Esau, and this is where Esau failed. You must learn how to delay gratification, so that you do not make emotional decisions when you are hungry, when you're emotional, right? Sometimes when when an opportunity is presented to you and you're not exactly sure of it, take your time to go back and think about it. Tell your business owner, your partner, okay, let me go and think about this. Let me go and think about it. You're not going to die. Esau was never going to die if he did not eat that food. But he didn't know how to delay gratification. So sometimes you have to learn how to delay gratification in business. You're trying to achieve something, you're trying to do something, and there's something that looks like, if I do this right now, this is going to blow. Go back and think about it. Is it really the right thing to do? What are the first and second order consequences of doing this? If Esau had thought about, what is the third order consequence of selling my birthright, he would never have done what he did. He will never have sold his birthright. To him, those were just mere words. All right, take my birthright, give me food. Those were mere words, but those were eternal words. Words that haunted him throughout his life. So sometimes there are some things you do not do as a business owner. You must learn how to delay those gratifications, right? Okay, so this is the 3 business lessons I have for you from the Bible today. And the first is from the story of the children of Noah, where they learned how to use their thoughts to create what it is they wanted of one speech and all. The second is from the story of David and Goliath, where preparation meets opportunity and you must learn how to ask for your rewards. And the third is from the story of Esau and Jacob, where you must learn how to delay gratification and you must learn how to create an addictive product. So I hope this video has been beautiful. I hope you've learned something from it, and I would love to see you again in the next video, where we always share business lessons, where I always talk about money, talk about business, talk about marketing and all that. So I'll see you in the next one, and cheers.